What's going on, guys? So, it's kind of didn't really plan this when I woke up this morning, but I thought, gotta try stuff out. Glad you're here if you're watching live. This will also be going on Spotify, Apple, everywhere. Yeah, no, 12 hours too early. It'll go everywhere you can listen to a podcast. This will also go on YouTube when I get the VOD downloaded, and probably don't have to do much polishing up, but here we are. So, got a couple topics to talk about. We're going to keep this short. It'll be about 45 minutes to an hour at most. This isn't really just discussion. Well, it's kind of discussion, actually. You can ask me anything you want involving the topics we're talking about. First, I want to say, big event tonight. Firecracker 400's happening. That's a big, big event that's been 2 years in the making. The first two were awesome. And I'm not, like, sugarcoating it. They were awesome. I'm talking, came down to the final 3 and 4 and the final part of the front stretch. Excuse me. Everyone that's in that race has a realistic chance to win. As stupid as that might sound. All 43 guys in that field could go win that sucker tonight. And I can't wait. That starts at 7 Central Time on E-Racer. David Shieldhouse, Parker Kligerman, Landon Castle, believe in the booth. It's going to be fun. I got a lot of friends in that race. Brandon Cattell, Chris Overland, Sean Butler, Kevin McAdams, Eric J. Smith coming out of retirement. Pretty much everybody in the field I'm either somewhat decent friends with or acquaintances, or I have nothing negative to say about them. I'll be excited for whoever wins because that's a big accomplishment. That's the biggest accomplishment you can probably have in sim racing outside of a Coke championship. Let's see what else has happened. We had the Coke race last night. Garrett Lowe came out and won that sucker. I mean, it was good job. I mean, he drove a good race. Donovan Strauss drove a good race. Donovan Strauss been driving really good lately. Of course, he's got that talent in him. I mean, that's not like it's surprising. Everyone in the Coke series can drive. Brandon McKissick was up there for a little bit. A lot of new faces, new blood up there. So that was fun. Then Garrett Lowe, of course, he... a lot of people's opinions, and mine included, got wrecked for the win. Is what it is, you know. That's the nature of the beast, and he drove a Richard Petty scheme, even though it's based off of a Dale Earnhardt scheme. It looked more like an Earnhardt scheme with Kyle Petty's numbers. The reason they did that is there was some penalty. The short story. This was Kyle Petty. He got penalized, so they said, well, you wouldn't do that to Earnhardt, and then so many words later happened, and then they painted his car to look like Dale Earnhardt, which I thought was funny, because I was like 2 or 3 years old when that happened, but reading back on the story and them telling it on the Coke broadcast last night was funny. So I thought, okay, that's a good way to get your message across, because I don't know Jim Beaver. I know of him, and I know how he handles things. He does stuff like that. It's good for sim racing because you have a little rebellion in there, I guess. Not really rebellion. I don't know what the word would be. But let's get to the topic at hand. If I forgot anything, Monday Night Racing was fun the other night, by the way. Got wrecked. Happens. Super Speedway. Now, for the topic that we're here for. Again, appreciate everyone watching live right now, twitch.tv/dcon. Follow, even if I'm not live. Have notifications muted so we don't mess with the audio for this. But racecraft and decision-making. That's the big ticket topic lately in sim racing. So, I guess we'll start with why, Dylan, why would you be talking about that topic? What would bring that up? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, I'm driving along, and I'm running, I'm streaming, normal night, nothing out of the ordinary. Well, this week there's a really stupid combination that iRacing has put on for this week to go official. It's Redacted Car. Don't know if I can say the name or not. Who cares? Come sue me. Fine. That car at Talladega. You can't tell me that's not a stupid combo. Like, that's taking the ingredients of something stupid happening and putting it together and then just waiting for somebody to turn the stove on. Well, I happen to be the guy who turned the stove on last night. So, it's lap 2. We just crossed the start-finish line, started lap 2. It's a 50-lap race. When I've raced it, it's gone mostly green. We have one big stupid wreck normally in the race, and then it's clean. It's a fuel mileage race. You can only go like 36 laps on fuel if you do the right things correct with the engine mapping, switching from engine maps, so it throttles your RPM and you save fuel as you go. If you just don't do anything, you could go about 31. So there's a lot of... It's like a chess match. I mean, it doesn't take just a whole lot of skill just to drive it, but if you don't know the idiosyncrasies and the other stuff that goes with that car, or you're used to that car, but you're not used to Talladega, it's a perfect storm of stupidity that could happen. So that's the first issue with this. Those of you that are watching online, we're going to switch scenes here so we can look at the incident in question. Won't mention who it is. You can go find out where this video came from and who was taken out and the issues that came from it. So we're gonna flip scenes real quick. I know this is great. Those of you that are just listening to the audio of this is just great listening. So here I am in the red and white car. You get big old runs. You're going like 256 in these cars. So I'm driving along. I'm in engine map 5, by the way. That throttles your RPM. So driving along, go through the tri-oval. Well, there's a gap about the width of 1.5 Indy cars. Or redacted cars. Gotta quit saying that. So I go for the gap. No issue. Never go below the yellow line. Well, there's this thing called netcode. So I netcode into him, and it shuffles me below the line. And these cars don't like it when they're not on an even surface. So I get a little loose. I save it. I have it saved. We got it gathered up. Well, we hit this blue and gold car here, and that causes a wreck. So, what, of course, happens after this? Someone clips it and puts it on Twitter. I'm not going to post the link to the Twitter. I'm not even going to say who it is. You could go find it, all that good stuff. So, that's why we're here. Is racecraft issues. And I wouldn't say that was a race. I'll give here's my 2 cents on it, then I'll shut up about it. I'm on the yellow line, all fine and good. Then I get netcoded, knock loose, save the car, and after that happens, you can go back and watch the VOD. I am remorseful. I am like, oh my God, what did I just do? That was really stupid. But because of iRacing, I don't have chat till August 14th. That's another aside, another story. So, I wouldn't care if he tweets the video. Don't care at all. Wouldn't be an issue to me. All fine and good. Well, the issue arises from him tagging me in it. Now, this is not, again, I don't have an issue with him posting the video. I really don't have an issue with him tagging me in it. It's the stuff that came from it that I wasn't just a fan of. It's people that are just bashing me because they don't know me. So here's one reply from a guy that was replying this, and then he blocks me on Twitter after he does it, if I can find it. Well, I guess I can't find it. But it was this guy saying, oh, you're just a balding loser that hangs around kids and fakes that you're an ordained minister, which, by the way, I am an ordained minister, by the way. I just put that in my bio for fun because it's true. But people that don't even know me, who the only thing that they have to know from me is that Twitch or that Twitter clip and just skimming my profile. I don't have the greatest hairline ever. I'm 28, hair's starting to go away a little bit. It's whatever. You know, I think it's fine. I let it grow out a little longer. When I actually comb it and style it, it doesn't look as bad. But the picture on my Twitter profile makes it look not great because it's a mix of slightly sweaty and it being windy outside for once in the Arkansas weather where you go through all 4 seasons every day. So, we live in an age where people want to criticize you for mistakes. If it constantly happens over and over again, sure, go for it. But if it's the first thing you've ever heard about me, the first thing you've ever seen, and you're telling me stuff like, I should go kill myself, which was an actual reply. I couldn't find a screenshot of it, but, I mean, I was getting stuff like, don't renew your service, quit the game, you're a waste of space, you're a balding idiot, you're a borderline pedophile, which is like, you're saying all this based off of what happens in a video game. Now people are saying, oh, it's a simulator. It's a video game. Even at the top of this, it's still a video game that's in the simulator category. Hell, it even lists it on Steam as a simulator. Like, if you go play Microsoft Flight Sim, well, that's a simulator. But people also play it as a video game. American Truck Simulator. It's a simulator. It's also a video game. It's not real life. They wouldn't take IndyCar to Talladega in real life. Hell, they killed someone when they ran at Las Vegas. And that's a track that's about a third of the size. Yes, yeah, I got it to marry people, an ordained minister, by the way. That's why I did that, as an aside. But I heard a story about, there's a school teacher it was like elementary school, right when they're teaching multiplication, like 3rd or 4th grade. She's writing multiplication tables on the board. You know, she's writing nines, which is probably usually the first one they tell you. You know, 9 times 1, 9. 9 times 2, 18. 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 4, oh my God, I had to think about it, 36, 45, 54, so on. Well, she gets to 9 times 9, and she writes 80. And she did this on purpose, because of course she's a teacher and she knows. The class starts to laugh. And she turns around and says, well, what's the deal, guys? Kid in the front row raises his hand and says, hey, you know, you messed up there. That's why everyone's laughing, because you messed up there. Well, she points out the other answers that she put up there. She didn't mess up there. And nobody, you know, applauded her for that. They just wanted to point out the one mistake and magnify that. This is what happened here. Do I have remorse for what happened? Yes. I hate people who got wrecked. I promise I don't spend $13 a month and however else much on cars and tracks to just play Crash 'em Up Derby. That would be very stupid. If you make a lot of enemies on this, you'll make enough enemies where no race will end up good for you. There are people, here's my thoughts on it. I race very aggressive because that's what you have to do to have a chance. And I hate it. I'm not a sprint race guy. You know, that's why I struggle. I'm a 4K I rating. A lot of it's because I run open races, I run super speedways, and I run tracks that I like. You know, I'm not going to run 20 races in a week at Nashville Super Speedway. I might run a handful, but I'm not going to, you know, run it to death. It's Talladega Daytona week. Yeah, I'm running 30 races a week. 30, 40 races. Probably 3 or 4 a night. If I'm not working or having real life stuff. If it's, you know, I ran a lot of Vegas. I ran a lot of, I can't remember what it was 2 weeks ago. New Hampshire, or last week, New Hampshire. I say run a couple races. But I have a 4K I rating. Whatever. For the most part, I'm a fairly clean driver. People see that, and people are the victims of aggressive driving, and they let that build. I struggle in C fixed because it's a sprint race. I can't do a race that's 40 laps and figure something out. It's not wired in me. I struggle with it. I mean, a lot of people do. You give me an NIS, you give me an open race, or of course a super speedway, I can get you something. Because you have attrition in all of those. Anything that has a lot of attrition involved, where all you have to do is not wreck and you'll have a chance, I'm good at that. But it is what it is. So, you have this incident. And again, you have the mounds of people pouring on about it. Well, what about good stuff I've done? There was someone that complained, said, oh, he always drives like this. And I could pull up replays of me pushing him to a win twice, where I could have yeeted him into the catch fence or left him out to dry so he finishes 20th. Instead, I was smart enough to realize if I push this guy, he's going to win and I'm probably going to finish 5th. I'm going to finish 5th, top 5 at least, at worst. But that's where the issue is. People want to bash you over stuff like that when it's an honest mistake. I don't think that's unfair to say. And if it is unfair to say, well, I'm just unfair. Now, this is not a new thing. Racecraft, this is not the first issue with Racecraft ever. The Racecraft on iRacing is probably at the worst I've ever seen it. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you know, everyone sucks but me. I see guys throwing it on the apron into turn 1, like lap 10 of a 45-lap C fixed, and wrecking 4 cars because they wanted to my corner someone, because it's heavily important you get as much ground as possible by the way the racing is. And I'll see people that will, and they're streamers too, they're content creators. They literally get on iRacing and try to be the most aggressive person in the history of mankind. You can watch this back and listen to the episode. I'll put it out here in a little while. But anyway, Team BP, appreciate you being here. You see too many people cornering each other. Whole lot of giving, not a lot of taking. Super speedway racing, I do a lot differently than I would do like a mile and a half. A short track. Someone wants to go by, I'll let them go. Super speedway, I want to be, I use the Dale Jr. mentality. I want to be either way ahead of everything when it happens, or like the last car in the pack. That way I can dodge everything, or say I'm like second in line on the bottom. I only got to worry about 2 cars. Pretty simple. But you look at, last night was the cleanest one in the Coke series, and, you know, even Lowe put a little bumper to Donovan, which, you know, it didn't wreck him. I mean, Donovan still finished 3rd. He drove his Tookus off last night. But you get Garrett Baines wrecked for a win at Gateway. I mean, now he was on older tires, and he could have been passed easier, and Garrett probably still finishes top 5. That's beside the point. That could have been anybody that I complain about that, but, you know, I mean, even if Ray Alfala had done it, I would have said something. Brandon Cattell, who's one of my closest people on iRacing, if he'd have done that, I'd have been like, I would have said something on Twitter. I said, here's what I said after that at Gateway. I said, if I do what Jordi Lopez just did, I'm suspended for 2 weeks. Now, that's not a knock on Jordi. I immediately, it was either before or after that, was hyped up because Jordi Lopez, who's one of the best people in sim racing, not just driver, but people, got his first win. That's all I said. And that created a small turd storm of stuff. Then the next week, Lowe's staring at a win at Nashville, the next race. He gets put in the wall off turn 4. Right reared. I think he finished 2nd or 3rd. this also translates to NASCAR, like real life NASCAR. I mean, Denny Hamlin, my cornered Kyle Larson, and totally said, I left him a lane. It was his decision whether or not he wanted to wreck, which I can respect that. It's real life. They can do what they want. They got the money for it. Whatever. When you see the people at the top do this, it makes it real easy for Joe iRacing with a 1600 I rating that works 50 hours a week, that comes on here Friday nights to really not care what happens in the race, whether he has a clean race car or not. If he sees the pros and the real life guys not given space, and even the pro and real life guys that just race normal races, if he sees them doing that, well, hell, he could do that too. It's just like anything else. Here's an example. Everything starts at the top. You look at basketball, for instance. Basketball is probably my next favorite sport besides, well, it's probably my favorite sport. The NASCAR's a close second because I've loved basketball forever. You can tell by the Michael Jordan poster behind me. You see, guys get dunked on, and the guy that dunks on him doing the head tap, pointing at him. Every time Steph Curry hits a three, we got a 3-point celebration. Everybody in the NBA has got a 3-point celebration. That trickles down to college, to where now you see kids that are 3rd and 4th graders trying to embarrass people and not handle the game the correct way, the adult way. Steph Curry could showboat. Jaylen Brown can showboat. Jason Tatum could showboat. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jimmy Butler, they could showboat because they're that guy. They're that good. They've earned that right. They've put in hundreds of thousands of hours to be good at what they do. This is no different than sim racing. The guys in the Coke Series, the guys in real life NASCAR, they've put in hundreds of thousands of hours of seat time, whether it be virtual or real, and even the real guys, they'll run virtual stuff and vice versa. They've earned the ability to be aggressive or overly aggressive because they can handle it and everyone in the field can handle it. There's a lot of people that drive above their head a lot of times, myself included. Again, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying, I'm not looking to go pro in this. This is something, it's a hobby. I kill time with it. I want to spend my free time doing this. I've made a lot of good friends with it. Whatever. Now, there's people that want to go pro and that have used this avenue to get into real life racing and create other opportunities. First guys I think of are, Vicente Salas, Caden Honeycutt, Donovan Strauss, Presley Sora. I mean, these are all guys that, some of them may have started, racing bandoleros or something small, go-karts, whatever, but because they showed their ability on iRacing, they're able to get into bigger stuff. Not saying that that's all that got him to the next level. Like Caden Honeycutt, he didn't get that truck ride just because of shit he did on iRacing. Parker Retzlaff didn't do that. He's not in a full-time Xfinity ride in a very good car, like a playoff-level car, because he's good at iRacing. William Byron, he was already racing before, but him being really good at iRacing, certainly helped. Ty Majeski, all these guys. It's not 100% like, if you're good, if you're good at iRacing, there's no guarantee that you're going to be racing in real life or even want to race in real life. I could be very off on this, which if he happens to hear this, he can tell me otherwise, but Casey Kerwin's probably the best driver on iRacing right now, across the board. Like, he could race any of the 4 standards at a pro level. I don't believe he wants to race in real life. So that's not an end-all, be-all. Everything starts at the top. When things get cleaner in the Coke Series and in real life, which I don't know if they will. I mean, I like the product that the Coke Series puts on. Wish the races were longer. Wish they were a little less strict on some stuff, because anytime you see someone not qualify, it's because they were told not to, because it's a penalty. And every race, there's about 6 or 7. So if they were more lenient on stuff like that, well, Still having that boys have at it attitude, I think it'd be a lot better. Same thing in NASCAR. You know, if Denny Hamlin puts you in the wall, Kyle Larson now has free reign to go take care of it. Whether it's do the same thing now, NASCAR will step in if he goes too far. You know, if he rears him in front of the field, he goes head first into the wall. I mean, when William Byron did it, Texas to him, because they had a little tussle, Byron found him under caution, spun him out, and put him in the infield. No harm, no foul. Denny just lost positions. That was also an issue with scoring. Oh, not scoring, but the steward that was there, the NASCAR stewards and everything, the race control. But it could be, back to sim racing, it could be not fun when you're constantly racing a lobby full of guys that just don't care what happens. Yeah, real life is a safety issue. But, I mean, sim racing, nobody cares. I mean, if I bump somebody, because I don't have voice chat, I can't say, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I overdrove the corner. That guy could come around and intent wreck me, and I just have to take it. I have to wait for the race to get over, wait for the cooldown period to happen, clip a video, file a protest, and hope iRacing sees what I saw. The chances of all of that happening are 50%. And them siding with me. Or anybody. This is the other thing. It does, I mean, you can wreck as many cars as you want. It's not going to cost you anything on iRacing. That's the other issue. Now, again, this all rises from a Twitter clip of something that happened in stream last night where we're racing friggin' IndyCar at Talladega. I mean, my thought is if people are expecting greatness from running 35, 36-second laps around Talladega in an IndyCar, and they're expecting not dumb stuff to happen, that's on them. And it wasn't like it was too far ago when racecraft was very prevalent. You know, if you couldn't drive, you couldn't drive. Now it's, if you can dodge wrecks, well, you're fine. It's becoming an issue. The other thing that you have is you have guys that race in real life where they don't care if they get banned from this. They could just go race in real life. Or they can go play something else. You know, there are people that do not care. Not saying everybody. There's still good people out there. There's still a lot of good people out there. A lot of good drivers. But I'm never going to get mad. Oh, but wait, let me make sure I rephrase this right. So another big issue people had with what happened last night. Well, why did you do that on lap 2? It's a 50-lap race. You could have made that move later. I'm like, okay. So if the same result happens with 2 to go, and I just accidentally took out the top 4 and won, I mean, that would look a lot worse, wouldn't it? I'm here to race. And people will say, oh, it's mental gymnastics, or, you know, what are you doing here? It's a race. I signed up to race. I'm going to put people in uncomfortable positions because it's a race. And the way that everything is, you have to do that if you want to have a chance. There's also instances where, you know, we've had a couple big ones, 2 or 3, and we're just trying to make it to wherever we're trying to go. You know, I'm fine with sitting single file. If it's 12 laps away from it being a fuel mileage race and we need to pit, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll sit in line. But, again, the way I approach super speedways is I want to be up front or I want to be the last car in the pack. And there were a lot of people dropping to the back, so I thought it was a more viable option to get to the front. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If netcode doesn't happen, we're driving along fine. I might get a couple comments like, why are you doing that? Lap is lap 2, rah, 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 rah. Okay, so be it. We didn't die. So let me explain what netcode is, by the way. You might see it is, we'll get the, and the dogs are barking, that's fun. So say you have two cars, you know, we're going to whip out the toys here. So let's say I'm this car, and this is the guy I'm racing next. Well, say I get loose, or who did I say? I was this car. I was Kyle Larson. Let's say I get loose, and I get here, snaps back, I save it. Well, iRacing isn't good enough to have 100% lag-free racing. iRacing uses prediction code. What does that mean? So there's a couple gaps every time that you race. So if I'm wrecking and out of control and I get here and I save it, or if I'm here and they think we're going to hit, but I actually just stop here, they're trying to fill in the gap. Meaning they're trying to predict what's going to happen so you have a good product. Well, I say a good product. But, so let's say you have a race at Richmond. You won't see as much netcode because you won't have as much netcode because you're going at a slower speed and there's less to fill in. Your top speed might be 120 miles an hour. IndyCar, you're going, I think I got up to 262 at one point on the backstretch. It was not last night, I think it was the night before when I had the draft. So iRacing's got to fill bigger gaps in a quicker amount of time. If that makes sense. But that's where the issue can arise from, is the prediction code that they have. Also, sorry, I guess the stream stopped for a second, but I guess there's a small internet outage. Anyway, anyone that watches that, you'll recognize that there's netcode involved there. I mean, I would certainly hope, at least. Again, I'm not going to post the clip, but if you go to my Twitter, you scroll long enough, you'll find it. It is what it is. When you mix in... Servers are good on iRacing. They're better than probably any video game that there is, outside of maybe 2K, but it's because of usage. They can have the best servers in the world, and there's still going to be netcode. You know, is what it is. But the best thing you could do is, and I do this, like, if I do something stupid, if the gear in my head turns and says, hey, go try that out, and it doesn't work, I'm never doing that again. If you notice, anytime that you might have raced with me, I don't make the same dumb mistake twice. Well, actually, probably not 3 times. If I make a mistake, I evaluate whether or not, okay, could that have worked in a bubble if all the conditions or some of the conditions are right? Sure. And if I think that, and I do it again and it works, it works. If I do it again and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But if it's something that it was little to no shot of working, I'm not doing that again. So that's something that a lot of people lack. Accountability is the other thing. Like, I'm willing to say when I'm wrong. I'm willing to say when I did something not good, not ideal. I'm never going to apologize for how I race. I race aggressive. If I do something stupid, I'll apologize for it. But it's a race. That's, again, I've covered that. This is a race. If I wanted to go out and just drive for 30 minutes, I would go drive the streets of my town. Again, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but, I mean, if people don't like it, then people don't like it. That's just my 2 cents about it. Another thing that I've just personally learned, and this is another aside, is in a world like this, not everyone's going to like me. That used to burn me to my core when I thought, oh my God, why doesn't everyone like me? If 100 people were in a room and 99 of them liked me, but there was one person that didn't, I was going to try everything in my power to figure out why they don't. I would never sleep at night if I thought about everyone that disliked me, whether it's on a video game or real life. Not everyone's going to like you, but not everyone matters, is the other thing. The people who I like and the people I want to be associated with, that's whose opinions I care about. For instance, I'll give you a real life scenario. My neighbor behind me sucks. He literally took a ruler. Now he took a ruler, measured my grass. He walks a lot. Came to the front of my house, took a ruler and measured my grass. It was 1/10 of an inch too tall according to the city's code. I have someone that mows my lawn because we had a lawnmower. We no longer have a lawnmower. That's all I'll say about that. And I pay these seniors in high school. I pay them $20. Come mow the lawn. Whatever. Come mow the lawn. Now, I had a bunch of other stuff I had to have taken care of because we had someone that did it before that worked for my mom. Well, she moved away, and so did that person, so is what it is, so I had to find new people. Again, there's stream issues, but you'll see the audio soon, and the video again, uninterrupted. But if I don't care what that guy thinks, I'm going to do enough to make sure I don't get a ticket. I'm going to do enough to make sure that, nothing crazy happens. I'm going to do just enough to appease them. And it's not necessarily appeasing them, it's just making sure everything's right. I care about what my mom thinks. I care about what my boss thinks. I care about what people I've grown up with think. That I have a good or close personal friendship with. The average person, again, I apologize, by the way, some internet issues here in Arkansas. We had a power outage with folks somewhere in Little Rock. Anyway, back to the story if you might have missed it. My neighbor walks around, comes, grabs a ruler, measures the grass. It's 1/10 of an inch too tall. He calls the city. The city comes by and says, hey, your grass is too tall. This is your warning. Okay. Whatever. So, not everyone's going to be happy. Who cares? It's just like this. People are going to be mad because the stream was dying over and over. I don't know why it's dying, but too many people have opinions on stuff they don't know. I might be one of those included. But I've become way happier, and I've developed this in the last year, of not caring what people think about me unless I care what I think about them, or if I have a good rapport for them. If first name bunch of numbers on Twitter doesn't like how I drive, well, I don't care. I'm just going to thank them on Twitter because they thought about me. That might be the wrong way to approach it, but that's how I'm going to approach it. So, at the end of the day, as I'll probably come close to wrapping this up, while the stream is still alive, if anyone has questions or wants something talked about, I'll talk about it. Who knows if the stream will actually die, but the video will be up later on YouTube, and it'll be live on anywhere you could listen to a podcast. But it's, like, at the end of the day, there's so many people that I just noticed in the last 24 hours that will have such negative things to say that go beyond the realm of sim racing into how I am as a person. That's not good. Remember, I work a full-time job. I have other hobbies. I play basketball. I go visit my mom who lives an hour away now. Hour and a half or so. I do other stuff. I choose to spend my free time doing stuff like this, sim racing, and anything else that makes me happy. The second everything starts to feel like a job, like this, like stuff like this or sim racing, where it's like I'm doing it because I feel I have to, that's where I'm not going to do it. But let's say, I don't know, we'll use Alex who's in chat here. Let's say Alex wrecks me. Okay, he wrecked me. It's over with. I'm pissed about it at the time, but I'm over it by the time I even look at the results. Is what it is. I'm not going to go say, well, he's a shitty person in real life. He must be a horrible person to live with. Or anybody else. You know, I'm not going to let what happens in a video game, and it is a video game, and those of you, okay, it's a simulator, I guess. I'm not going to let that dictate what I think of them in real life. I don't have an issue with hardly anybody. Sim racing, people have an issue with me because of something I might have done 2 years ago. There's a guy I ran, it's like NIS, but it's Formula One cars with the Mercedes, that he was mad because I had doored him on accident, and I even said I was sorry, at Kansas. 5 weeks later, he's in the same race as me, and he won't shut up about how awful I am at driving. It's like, why are we holding grudges? Like, if I get wrecked, I was real bolt of thunder when I first started sim racing or doing it competitively. I thought if I got wrecked, well, that guy just did it on purpose. He cleaned me out. By the way, if you have any questions, you could submit them or anything to talk about. I'm going to wrap up here pretty soon, but I thought that person just cleaned me out. I hate that guy. Think of it this way. Let's say you get wrecked by Joe iRacing in a B fixed at midnight. You might have never seen this person before in your life. They might mess up and hit you, and you wreck. Your race sucks. It's over. Or you're not going to get as good a finish as you probably could because your car's damaged, or you lost a bunch of track position, one of the two. I used to hold that grudge and think that guy hates me. But too many people don't realize the odds of someone that wrecks you, it being intentional, are very low. You're more likely to go win the lottery and then get struck by lightning than that happening, than some rando that you've never heard of going and wrecking you. I have a more higher chance of that just because, haha, lay funny, I wrecked the streamer guy, or someone may just not like me. It is what it is, but, I'll say, let's see, who's someone, Jake Russell, who's in chat. Not a lot of people might not know Jake, not like a lot of people know me anyway, but, I know who Jake is, but, a guy I might know on iRacing probably might not know him. Jake's not just going to go wreck some guy just because. I'm not going to go wreck some guy just because. A lot of people aren't going to intentionally wreck someone just because. And I think that's another issue that's in the iRacing world is you have people that take everything way too serious. I say take it too seriously. I mean, of course, you're trying to win. You're trying to have a good time. But you have people that can't take an apology or don't want to apologize for something. In my case, if something happens next 15 days or 25 days or so, I can't say anything. So I run that risk. So if I, have an issue like I had last night, or if I'm like driving Richmond at some point and I door someone or I misjudge something and we door, well, that guy could, it's like, aren't you going to say something? I might get something in chat like that. Like, I'm going to, why didn't you say anything? Are you not going to apologize for that? Whoever. Well, he's going to take that as, I don't care, when really, I can't respond to it. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get doored back. And I'm going to accept it because I understand I put myself in that spot, and that's where the issue is. Yes, Jake Russell, you are correct. 99% of things on iRacing are legit accidents. This is the other thing people have to realize. They will take any contact personally. And I'm not just a huge fan of that. I mean, there are people that I guarantee that I might have wrecked unintentionally. Or there's someone out there that's been wrecked unintentionally in a race, and they sat at night wondering, man, I can't wait to get that guy back. It's going to be so great. I'm going to wreck his ass. It's going to be great. Excuse me. And it's like, as soon as I get off of here, you know, if I get off iRacing, I don't think about it. I don't think about when I'm at work. You know, I don't think about it when I'm hanging out with friends, when I'm playing basketball, playing basketball, when I'm refereeing basketball, when I'm doing whatever else. I'm thinking about that. And I think about my job, because it's my job, outside of my job. But if I'm sitting at my desk, I'm not thinking about, man, I wonder what's going on iRacing. I don't do that. Now, if it's like Talladega or Daytona week, I'm thinking, man, I can't wait to get home and do that. But, I mean, there's more pressing things in life to worry about. I mean, it's getting hotter by the second to those of you that live in a southern or Midwestern state. That's just, there's more pressing issues. I mean, groceries are more expensive than they've ever been. I'm a single male, and I spend like $70 a week on groceries for stuff that I remember would be about $35, $40 not too long ago. And that's not including pet food. I got 4 pets. Love them to death. And that's not even including like intangibles or stuff like that you don't have to buy every week, like laundry detergent, toilet paper, stuff like that. There's more pressing issues in the world than, oh, I just got wrecked and be fixed. And when people realize that aren't at a professional level, iRacing will be better. iRacing's already really good. Don't get it twisted. I like it. Those people that are high up or people that have raced it for a while that say, well, the tire models made this bad. Or, you know, they might have another gripe about it. But iRacing's really fun. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't spend a lot of my free time doing stuff associated with it. It's just how I see it. I mean, I do this because of any other reason anyone else does. They like racing. They like to compete. That's a good mix of the two. Now, if you're at the Coke level or you're at the NASCAR level, you might have actual beef. You know, guy races you too hard. Well, it's time to teach that guy a lesson. You know, but it's when people treat this as if it's life or death, I'm going to go broke because I have to fix this race car, that's where people will enjoy it more. That's just how I see it. Again, I could be entirely wrong on that. But, I mean, hell, who knows? But yeah, you can catch this on YouTube here in a little bit. You can catch it on Spotify and everything. But unless anybody has anything real quick they want to talk about, we'll wrap it up here. But that's why I want to come on. You know, I like I said, I didn't wake up and think about doing this. I didn't think about, you know, what's going to happen. You know, I thought, you know, I'm going to go play in the summer league that's happening at my workplace. I'm going to play in that. I'm going to go get my 3 miles in because I don't know if it's hard to tell, but I have lost decent amount of weight. I say like 20, 25 pounds the last 2 or 3 months. And then I was like, I'm not going to do anything else. But when you wake up to 48 notifications about something that happened, then I was like, okay, we're going to talk about the issue with racecraft and everything else. That's pretty much it. That's Jake Russell. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. We had a big news dump, and we're gonna cut this short. We're gonna talk about this briefly, but we might mention this on the next episode. I'm gonna find time to make episodes about this. So iRacing came out with something today. They said they have. Let me find it. I want to make sure I have it word for word and correct. A lot of neat stuff involved. So they have they put out a July 2023 development update. So this is from Greg Hill. There's a lot of pictures, and we'll switch to the pictures here. Let's do it now. So those of you watching the video either on YouTube or live on stream right now, you'll see this, but I'll read it off. This is July 2023 development update by Greg Hill. Greg Hill is the lead designer and lead important person at iRacing. Hello, iRacers. It's been a few months since we last provided an update regarding our current and future sim development plans. Our team is in mid-season development mode right now with the real busy push to deliver Season 4, which is in about 5 weeks. About to kick into gear soon, but right now is a great opportunity to sit down and reflect and share. To begin, we have a lot of exciting track projects in the works, and for sure have enjoyed working on these diverse set of tracks we released the past two builds. Following tracks are in various states of planning, pre-production, and full production. Algarve, Portimao, Misano, Mugello, Pukekohe, I don't know what that is. Lebanon and Zandvoort have already been noted. However, we mentioned Navarra. Our crew just returned from that trip. What great timing for these projects, given the several developers across Europe and across the world who joined us this past year who have already been a big help in taking photos, flying drones, and capturing scans. I probably butchered the hell out of some of those names. iRacing is a platform representing a vast array of motorsport categories and niches. Short oval racing is a focus, with Slinger Speedway and Winchester Speedway already in production. Kern is on pace for September, and planning for additional short oval cars is underway. This is how they're going to get people to come back and stay. We have multiple dirt oval tracks and a dirt car in the works, as well as a return to dirt road with Wheatland and Lucas Oil Road. We will be revisiting the UK with an addition of multiple new circuits. We are expanding into new areas of Asia where we don't yet have a presence. A lot of exciting projects, both announced and unannounced. While much of the above is long-term, we did want to explain how we will handle two of our most imminent projects that are coming in September, Zandvoort and Kern County. That's exciting. So, I'm going to read all this. First, Kern County Raceway is a unique facility where we are building both the dirt track and short asphalt track together. This leads to the question, how will this be packaged for sale? We have decided to include a pavement oval and a dirt oval together in one package. If you purchase Kern, you get them both, and it will cost $11.95 total. A great value for pavement oval fans to also try out dirt racing and vice versa. Now for Zandvoort, one of the very first European tracks released in iRacing. The historic version of Zandvoort and the current day version have significant differences and unique experiences. As such, we'll be keeping the historic version of Zandvoort on the service and add the current day track to the same package. That means that anyone who owns Zandvoort today will get new Zandvoort when we release it, and anyone who purchases Zandvoort in the future will get both versions. Beyond new content, our art department is always doing their best to balance work on new and exciting cars and tracks while also improving what we already have released. We routinely release upgrades to existing content to bring it up to current standards. For example, Sebring, which recently received a comprehensive artwork overhaul, and Road Atlanta before it. This is an area where we'd like to have better throughput, and we've focused on pipeline, tooling, and process improvements, which will allow us to do this work at a more significant scale with a quicker turnaround time. Such upgrades are already in the works to include some of our most highly used content, such as Brands Hatch, Okayama, Olden Park, as well as our older NASCAR and oval tracks. After many delays, we have brought the 3D Curb project back online, and it's progressing well, along with other long-term tire modeling and physics engine enhancements to better enjoy those curbs. More on that in the future, and then they put a winking face. You'll be amazed by how significantly this addition will affect your racing line. Speaking of racing lines, significant progress has been made these past weeks on our Rain project. Our track polish and rubbering systems will dramatically affect your line around the track depending on the conditions and the state of several dynamic physically based systems. As iRacers, we will have to approach these tracks that we are so familiar with in completely different ways and with the mindset of a real-world racer facing the adversity of real-world dynamics. Our Rain tire model will accurately disperse significant amounts of water on the track, providing impressive grip up to a limit, but hydroplaning will be possible past that limit. It is possible to slide the car to a degree that there is some forgiveness, but you very much have to respect the limits. As the tire slides and rolls through the water, any that isn't picked up or displaced by the tire can be boiled off the surface through frictional energy. Expect a more technical deep dive at that at some point, as they're only scratching the surface here. A few more interesting tidbits before they wrap this up. Recent investment into our team and into this great sim have led to their car and track art team doubling in size. That's underrated. That's adding a lot of people to that. Our animation team has also doubled as they have great momentum on projects that really convey the sheer physicality of the race car to your screen/headsets, as well as additional shifting and emotive systems and support for more pit stops. Tire physics and engine team has tripled and are working with determined focus on the future of our great tire model and the evolution needed to keep delivering the most authentic experience possible. Tire deformation models, tire carcass torsional deflection contact patch, finite element model, physics rate, heat buildup, and gradient tread profile. The team is energized in these terms. Let's see, any other tidbits? It's pretty much all explaining more of the stuff at the top. It says, never been more exciting time to work on and racing in iRacing. We love what we do here, and I hope that is shown in our releases in each and every 3 months without fail for the past 15 years straight. How amazing is that? It is sure something to reflect on more significantly someday. Looking forward to the next 15 years with you all as well. But for now, onward and upward. Sincerely, cheers, Greg, executive producer of iRacing. And they have screenshots also. Like, look at, like, this looks really good. I mean, you can see the rain, the water on the track. I mean, it's coming. I mean, it's in a very deep development state, but... So, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody for this, completely thrown together episode of Chat Band. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow on all podcast platforms. The link's been appearing in chat all the time. You can watch this back on YouTube at Decon. It's not at Decon. It's just search. I'll have it labeled properly, and I'll put it in my Discord and everything. But appreciate everybody. Stick around. I'm going to make more episodes. I don't have an exact timetable. I have people that I want to get on and guys that want to be a part of an episode, but what I may do is I may just make a bunch in a day and then release them as, I find time. But, I kind of had lost the drive to do this just a little bit because I was like, man, this is really cool, but it's, a lot of work and there wasn't a lot of results, but I think this could be a turning point and this will be the flame that lights this again. But I appreciate everybody hanging out. It's been awesome. See you at the next episode, wherever it may be, whether it's live or not. But appreciate you guys. Listen to this on all podcast platforms. On YouTube, you can watch this one with my facial expression and everything. And occasionally might have the live version of these at twitch.tv/Decon. Again, have a good day. Have a good week. We will catch you on the flip side.